United got the much needed win, moving up to 6th in the table. Somehow, it was pretty smooth in the end. Martinez even getting that run out at centre back. There was no space for Shea Lacey's debut, but the less said about that, the better. For me, the game didn't really tell us much of what we didn't already know. Wolves are really, really bad, and United under Amorim, they can play well if they're allowed to play in certain circumstances. And what do I mean by that? Well, you're going to have to watch the video to find out. Like and subscribe while you're there, guys. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's go.
First, I'm going to talk about United's attacking play, and then later on in the video, I'm going to talk about what allowed Wolves back into this game in that first half. But in attack for United, everyone was feasting, and it just goes to show how many good players United really do have in attack. But this was a prime example of it. And Mbeumo dropping a little bit deeper, showcasing what he does for United, because when he drops a little bit deeper, drags a defender with him, but then he goes then and vacates that space, moves the defender back a little bit, and then Cunha then can march into that space which Mbeumo has just left. So United always creating space for each other with these sort of movements, particularly with Mbeumo. He does so much of that running off the ball. But then that ball is able to go into Cunha as he drops a little bit deeper. No Wolves player really marking him. He's able to find Casemiro. It's this sort of up, back, through stuff that a lot of teams are using in the Premier League right now. Casemiro is able to pass it into Fernandes, who can lay it off to Cunha, and then Fernandes can get on his merry way then. It's these sort of interchanges that caused a lot of havoc for Wolves when United were really on their game. Obviously lost it a little bit at the end of the first half, but when we were able to do it, we looked really, really good. And it's this sort of direct, quick sort of 1-2 touch play that Amorim is always instilling in his team. Not always the best method of controlling a game, but United, with these direct attacks, are always going to be a threat, and they're always going to be able to score goals this way with the team that we have. But as the ball goes into Fernandes, you can see Dalot making that run. There's space for Mount and Mbeumo as well. Fernandes, the pass doesn't come off this time, but United is just a sign of what's to come. This time around then, Aiden Heaven, I thought he had a very good game. There was a couple of really nice passes into midfield, which Amorim spoke about after the game. But this time around, Heaven, there's no rush to his game, gets his studs on the ball, allows Strand Larsen just to make that little bit of a move towards him. As he does, Heaven can just play that ball around him into Casemiro, who has that little bit of space. Casemiro doing what he does best, playing that quick ball into midfield. Mount then, this is an example again of United with that quick 1-2 touch play. Ball goes into Mount. Ball quickly then, first time, goes into Cunha. Cunha then, nice little flick around the corner. First time ball again. Fernandes then is in that space where he can really thrive. Playing that ball further forward. And Mbeumo making that run as he so often does. Ball goes into him. And Mbeumo doesn't quite come off. Doesn't get that goal. United have a ball cleared off the line after this as well. But it was another example of United with that quick 1-2 touch play. If they can play this way, then they're dangerous. It's when we're trying to play against a very settled defence, as we've seen up against Everton, up against West Ham, that's where we really have our trouble. One last instance of it, in that second half, leading up to United's third goal, Casemiro here. A lot of players, you probably look at it, they might end up retreating back to their own goal once they get the ball in this situation, but not Casemiro. One of the main reasons why he's in this Amorim team. Casemiro instead plays that ball straight into Bruno Fernandes' feet as he's got that space in there. Little flick from Casemiro around the corner. We've seen so many instances where these passes don't come off. This time, it does. Fernandes, as he gets that ball in, he can march further forward. Ahmad making that run beyond him. The ball goes into Ahmad. He plays that 1-2 with Fernandes. Fernandes gets a shot off. Doesn't get the goal this time around. But as that ball gets recycled in, you want Fernandes in these sort of positions as he's one of the only United players who can pick these sort of passes out. Despite what a lot of people say about him, Fernandes is still super vital to this United team. Ball goes in behind. Mount making that very, very intelligent run as he did find a lot of space in that second half. Mount thought he was very, very good. I think he had man of the match in this game. Ball goes into Mount. United get that third goal, and that was pretty much all she wrote. And we were able just to see much more of Bruno Fernandes in these more advanced areas in this game up against Wolves as United were largely dominant. And I think this is ideally how Amorim sees this system. With Bruno Fernandes playing a little bit more advanced, Casemiro sitting in behind, them sort of having that staggered structure. We talk so much about that midfield pivot, but this is how Amorim sees it. With Fernandes obviously then being that bit more of an attacking player, but obviously the burden that it does bring defensively when United start to drop a little bit deeper. That's what we don't like. But we were able to see much more of Bruno Fernandes in the attacking areas in this game. And with United's attackers overall, I think they all played pretty well. We saw the importance of the carrying of Ahmad from that right wing back spot. You saw the importance of the passing of Bruno Fernandes. But I think you saw Mbeumo keeping on making those runs. He had a couple of miscontrols in the first half, which people were getting on his back for. But he doesn't stop working. Cunha was able to drop deep and find that bit of space in midfield as well. Mount, I thought, was doing the same thing. Picked up some lovely areas. My growing concern, though, is going to be with AFCON is we've seen the importance of having Ahmad in that right wing-back spot to really make Amorim's attack tick. We haven't seen him really make the system work without having Ahmad out there. So that's going to be my real worry is the next couple of games now, potentially, we're not going to have him out there. We're not going to have Mbeumo or Mazraoui. And that whole right-hand side is going to be decimated. And now for United's wobble in that first half, which we've seen numerous times, both home and away during this Premier League season. Amorim talked about it after the game and talked about United being sloppy, which might be true, obviously. We were giving the ball away regularly. But also, Amorim's system does not breed control whatsoever. And you add into that some very sloppy defending, you've got a recipe for disaster. And I've spoke about Ahmad at right wing back. Well, the Wolves goal is a prime example of the struggles you're going to have when you're playing him out there or you're playing any winger in these wing back roles. They're not going to be really wanting to defend their own box. In this instance, United don't do well enough in covering him either. But the Wolves player can get in behind Ahmad. As the ball comes into United's box, then we're still in a decent enough position. You've got enough numbers in there. There's 6 United defenders, the 4 Wolves attackers, but all of them, the play for United, all of the players are just being sucked towards their own goal, deeper and deeper. No one's marking that space on the penalty spot, and then Wolves can get that goal from that then. But what I'm talking about when United really lack that control, before that goal got scored, United just simply didn't do well enough yet again at just keeping hold of the ball. And that is instructional a lot of the time from Amorim. We're not seeing any sort of deep build-up from United. This is what we were sort of seeing. Lemens, you've got enough time and space. You've got players around you. You could easily try and play out from the back here. But instead, Lemens just ushers his defenders forward. Wolves are not really pressing United. But instead, then United just march towards the halfway line just so Lemens can kick it long. Again, this time around from a goal kick. Lemens kicking it long and United do win the first ball, this time around with Casemiro. But as the second ball comes round then, the ball bobbles, Wolves end up getting that ball back. They can attack United's defence yet again. This was all leading up to that goal. You're slowly seeing the momentum creep more and more towards Wolves. But United doing this thing of just hoofing it long towards them is always going to be them handing the opportunity for the opposition to get that momentum back. Again for Lemens, not under a ton of pressure. You could keep trying to play that ball out from the back, but instead, we kick it long. Wolves can win that header in midfield. The ball does get recycled, but United kick it long again. It's just constant for United now that we just simply don't try and play out from the back. The team United had out there would have been good enough to keep that ball up against Wolves, but the instructions are not to do that. Instead, we allow Wolves that foothold into that game. We keep playing for the second ball, and that's what allows teams back into these games. We've seen it so often this season. And we've seen United sort of really double down on this style ever since Lemens came in. It's been weeks, if not months now. But we were doing it even when Bayindir was in goals as well. We were playing out a little bit, but largely we were kicking it long. The same with Lemens now. We've doubled down on it. Ever since that Sunderland game, we're kicking it long and we're allowing teams into these games. It's making it that sort of basketball style match, making it that sort of 50-50 stuff. Yes, it's great if you can win the second ball, but you're not always going to be able to do that. I've always said the next evolution under Amorim is reintroducing that short build-up. But I don't know when he's going to do it, because if you're not going to do it up against Wolves, then I can't see him doing it up against anyone else in the Premier League. We've got much tougher games to come. Would have liked to seen some sort of stuff, short build-up, be reintroduced, but we haven't seen it just yet.
Is what it is. It is what it is.
And there we are, guys. I think United in attack, especially once we switched on in that second half, realised how easy the game was going to be, then I think we were really good. But how much of that is obviously due to the fact the Wolves are really that bad? I don't really know, and only time will tell. Much tougher games to come, as I've said, with the likes of Villa, Newcastle, Bournemouth coming up. Amorim's United, we're going to see a real test now of where they are. Are they deserving of those Champions League spaces? Or are we truly a mid-table team? Let me know what you guys thought of the game down in the comments down below, guys. As always, drop a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll catch you in the next one.